Salam, Queen of Queens, Phoenix from the Dawn, L. Jackson, back in the light of our Brazeera Cyber Network. Tonight's Gemini video conversation on Jackson's Green Arc is regarding who is really running the world. Okay? Now, this video is basically also a review of all the other videos that we've done regarding, the Vatican, who controls the power, how it's structured, and all of that. So this is just basically a fast recap of all that, okay? And so, while the financiers of the New World Order are the Rothschild, the Khazarian Rothschilds, and his Lord of his, as he, it's administrated through his Lords of London. The Rothschilds are the ones that head the Khazarian family, the abomination, the fake imposter nation, abomination known as Israel. So, and they control all the activity, the wars, okay, the global terrorism, all of that, past, present, and future, World War I, II, III, if there's to be, Allah, we pray there's not, but they are in control of all of that, okay, masterminding, manipulating all of that. So and these wars continue to be sanctioned by the Vatican, because the Vatican represents the capital, okay? It represents, while the Lords of London is a capital, they have three capitals, America, Vatican, and the Lords of London in London City, or the London, okay? The one who not so much controls the banking system, but the head of the banking system is the banking, Vatican central banking, okay, controlled by the Rothschilds through the Vatican, okay. So the Vatican is the old Babylon. Vatican is the new head of the new. It's the head of the New World Order. Is the Vatican, okay? It's the Antichrist, the anti-nation, the anti-human, the anti-Jewish, anti-Islam, anti-Christian, anti-everything. Okay, anti-Allah, anti-everything. Okay, the Vatican represents the capital, the wealth, right? As it's administrated through the Vatican, right? Okay. So, and the Vatican is a cabal or a capital of Zionists, right? A Zionist Khazarian nation, and it is the Khazarian abomination that is attempting to dictate global power and orient all of the capital and the power in the world, right? All power in the world, military, financial, and spiritual, right? And that's what the Vatican does, right? The Vatican, which is Babylon, okay, Babylon 2, controls the military aspect, the banking aspect, and through the banking, the headquarters, one would be spiritual headquarters. It's divided. Their powers are divided in three layers, right? The Vatican being the spiritual power, the Lords of London, Rothschild being the commercial power, and then America being the military arm of it. So it has three arms, three branches, okay? And all of them are collectively is Babylon. And they want to relocate Babylon to the Holy Land, Palestine, right? Ran by the Khazars, right? So the Khazars are the imposter Israelis, okay? Because the real Israelis are actually the Palestinian and Bantu people of Africa, right? Okay, Arab and African peoples, right? And all those people in those, well, because Palestinians are Jewish too, right? It's because Judaism is just a religion, right? So so the Vatican is trying to use the to impersonate, let's say, the descendants of Prophet Abraham. Okay. Okay. So there's because they want to control all the global wealth, right, and the power, right? spiritual power as well, right? And military power, all of that, right? Okay, so which is as I said, which they are imposters of the descendants of Prophet Abraham, to which DNA testing has long since proven that the Khazars, known as the Israelis in Palestine, that are occupying Palestine, are not, okay, are not descendants of Prophet Abraham. Okay, the Palestinians and the Bantu African people are descendants of the Hebrews. Okay, Israelites. Okay, so the Vatican is Babylon 2. Okay, when Babylon was destroyed, right? When Babylon lost its power, okay, all that power was centralized in under Babylon 2, right, which is Vatican, right? With the reconstruction of, not the reconstruction, but the Constantine's with Constantine and the building of the church, right, establishing of the church, right? Okay, so, and the pagan power, the paganism that was used to establish it, right? Okay, so so Vatican wants to be Babylon 3, okay, in Israel. So Israel is supposed to be the reconstruction of Babylon 3. Inshallah, Allah will abort it, okay? Okay, so so as we said, the DNA has been tested to determine who the true descendants of Prophet Abraham are, and it is not the Khazars, right? From the Khazar Mountains. Khazars are the Gog and Magog people. They are the Gog and Magog people through Britain, okay, and other places in Europe, okay. Okay, so the Vatican is Babylon. The Vatican is the Antichrist, the imposter Jewish nation. Those are Khazars, okay. Okay, and they're the ones who's creating all this global terrorism. They're the ones who did 9/11. They're known as Zionists, right? Zionist Babylonians. That's who they are. Imposters, Israeli nation. They are Khazars. Okay, okay. So they want to continue the ethnic cleansing. They want to continue the land grabbing. They want to continue the occupation in Palestine. They are the ISIS, the ones who created ISIS. Okay, and that, if you can go on YouTube and just see who created ISIS, and you will see who did 9/11. You will see the Khazarian Israeli imposters. Okay, and another thing that's very important too is that while they're trying to rebuild Israel, right? They got to take all the wealth from America. They got to cause America to it's like dethrone America, right? Because America is a superpower, so they want to be the only superpower. They don't want no threats, peace and security. They want security of Israel. What they call it, live in peace and security, right? While the rest of the world lives in hell, in turmoil, chaos, right? Because they have to take the America's the power away from America, redirect America's power to Zionist Khazarian Israel, right? So that means depleting American military, American resources, creating social chaos on the streets and all these things. And civil warfare is what they usually create in other countries, right? Like they got the civil war pending and that's being threatened in Yemen, the civil war in Syria, the civil war that they're trying to create in Iran, the civil war that they created in Afghanistan. The civil war is just civil war, so they want a civil war in America too, right? Because what did we say? Negative energy feeds fear, right? It feeds fear. So the more they make you fear at 9/11, the more they feed fear in the person. So, so anyway, so as I said, they have to take, in order to be number one power, they have to take global power from everybody, right? In order to have global one world order, right? Let's put it this way: in order for them to have the government according to their one world control order, right, system of operations, right, they have to take power from America, right? So the leaders who in America went bankrupt, right, back in 1929, right, when the markets crashed, right? So if the markets crash and America's bankrupt, and not Palestine, but the Vatican controls all the wealth for the Federal Reserve, then that means you know, whoever becomes, you know, the president of America is doing so sponsored by the Vatican, okay? Because the Vatican is the one that basically controls American politics today by the Jesuit priest, right? So whoever is, or you know, had executive, let's say heads the executive branch of the government, right? Well, let's just put it this way: whoever heads, who's ever president, right? They're the ones who are selected by. They have to do the will of the Vatican, right? The Khazars, right? The Zionists, because that's the one who's paying for them. That's the one who sponsored them. That's the one who put in their office. That's the one who their policies they're carrying out for. So they're actually treason to the American people, right? But nonetheless, because you're not supposed to be smart enough to know what they're doing, right? Okay. So whoever is selected as president is going, like Trump. Trump's going to do their policy. He's going to do their bidding. He's going to try to conquer Jerusalem. He's going to try to conquer Yemen. He's going to try to conquer Iran. He's going to try to conquer Syria. He's going to attempt to pretend like he's bombing ISIS, but he's not. And he's going to try to pretend like he's in with Egyptian's President Sisi, but Sisi's a Zionist too. Remember, okay? His father worked for Ben Gurion, or his uncle worked for Ben Gurion, right? A known terrorist who initially aided in the occupation of Palestine, right? Okay, so he's going to pretend like he's working with Sisi, and Sisi is ISIS, right? ISIS, right? Israeli Intelligence Service, right? So he's going to pretend like he's working for ISIS. I mean, we're not working for ISIS, but he's going against ISIS. He's going to be bombing the shit out of ISIS, right? But he's not really bombing the shit out of ISIS. He's fighting side by side with ISIS. Is only to tell the Muslims he's fighting ISIS, so that Muslims will, Muslim people will support their governments fighting alongside Trump. Fighting of ISIS, right? Fighting on behalf of saving Israel, right? On behalf of American interests, right? Yeah. Okay. So no, it's all a game. It's all a ploy. It's all for the control and the reconstruction of Babylon 3. Inshallah, Allah let it be dead on arrival. Babylon 3 be dead on arrival. Okay. Okay. So the Vatican is the old Babylon relocated, right? It is Babylon 2. That's Babylon 1 was the first empire. Babylon 2, Vatican. Babylon 3 is what they want to rebuild, the Khazarian nation in Israel, right? The Khazarian abomination, blue blood brotherfuckers, right? Okay, so Babylon is relocated. It is Babylon 2, right? And Babylon 2 also represented the old kingdom, right? The old Babylonian kingdom of whores, right? Okay, because it was it was a whorish nation, right? A nation like none like other than Sodom and Gomorrah, okay? And which we have a lot. The world today is a lot like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? So it is Babylon 2, okay, the Vatican, and it wants to redo Babylon 3. That's the Khazarian, right? The Khazar nation, right? Magog and Magog, okay? It was part of the old kingdom, right? Of the old ages, right? And his age ended, right? The rule of Babylon, December 14, 2015, or actually, as they calculated themselves, December, which is 12/12, December 21st, 2012. So the Khazarian Babylon 2 is the mother of the Khazarian Israel, okay, which is the whore of the Babylon. So Israel, Khazarian Israel, Gog and Magog, Khazarian Israel is the Gog and Magog, imposter Israel abomination, is the child of the whore, its mother whore, Babylon 2. Okay, so we pray Babylon 3 will be dead on arrival. DOA, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, As we said, the Gog and Magog, Khazarian fake Israeli abomination, is the daughter of the whore Babylon 2. So when anyone thinks of the Vatican, okay, the Vatican Central Bank, it is the head of the cabal of the banking system, the Federal Reserve banking system, and that's how they control the world, through their Federal Reserve banking systems and their international banking system and the United Nations. Okay, and right now, and another thing that Trump is going to try to do, right, is get into invade Somalia, right, because they need that strategic location, right, militarily, right, because it controls the Gulf of Aden, in that area where it's basically for the global economy, right? It's like a highway for the global economy, right? The Gulf of Aden. So they need to control that. And by the way, that will cut Iran off, right? And from entering, and also what other controls the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Sea. Is it the Indian Sea or the Red Sea? Well, the Red Sea's over there too. So it can control that just strategically control that region over there. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, whether it be the Red Sea, the Indian Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea or the Gulf of Aden. Okay, all of that is up in there. All of that, I think, is all of those different seas and waterways are up in there and very tightly connected in that area. So they need to control that area, and to control that area would put a desperate situation on Iran, right, and to cause more military tension between the West and the East, right? Okay. So he wants the Trump wants to aggravate that region, right, under the guise of he's chasing ISIS, and he's doing so with Sisi, right, and Egyptian Sisi or Egyptian ISIS and the Wahhabis in the House of Saud, right? Okay. So you need to check all this out, right? So their time actually ended December 21st in 2012. The old kingdom was over, and they want to start the new one, the Babylon 3, right? Inshallah, like we said, that be DOA. Babylon is, as we said, the mother of Israel. So when you think of the Vatican Central Bank, think of it as controlling it all, manipulating it all. It controls all the Federal Reserve systems. Okay. And all around the world, right? They're listed in other countries, and it's been said the only countries that don't have the Federal Reserve System are the ones that the West is attacking. Okay. Okay. And so they want the new Babylon 3, the Khazarian, Magog, and Gog, Israel to control all those areas, right? They wanted to control the world by giving it control of all the banking, by giving it control of the banking system, right? Okay, and then controlling the economy, how the monetary system is to be used and taxed and loaned, okay, delegated, right, dictated. So they want to give that to the Gog and Magog, Khazarian Israel, okay, that power, that control, and spiritual power. So they want to unite the military, commercial, and spiritual power in one body, Israel, right, the Khazarian, Gog and Magog, Israel, okay. So it is the same for America. It's the Federal Reserve. America's Federal Reserve is also controlled by the Vatican Central Bank. Thus, when America borrows from the Federal Reserve, they are actually borrowing money from Israel. So therefore, you got to see, and if the Vatican and Israel are synonymous for one, okay, they're synonymous one for the other. Okay, one may be the back and one may be the front, but they're the same body. Israel and the Federal and the Vatican are one nation, Khazarian nation. Okay, so when you think of Vatican, think of Israel. Okay, so America gets its money from. So if in 1929 the stock market crashed, and the Vatican aided America in getting on its staying functionable, then and the Vatican is Israel, then it was the same as Israel loaning money to America, though it was not established because that was the intent for the Vatican to establish Israel, right? Okay. Because Israel is to take control of the Vatican's affairs, right? When it becomes Vatican, when it wants to be Vatican, Babylon 3, right? Okay. So when they borrow money, if they borrow money from Israel, well, Vatican, Israel, one and the same, then they put the presidents into the White House, right? On Capitol Hill, right? Then the president's got to do what Israel says, and that's what we have right now, and that's why Trump said he'll support Israel 100% because Israel put him in the help. That wealth helped put him in the office. Okay, those who control that wealth, that cabal, helped put him in the office, right? That Jesuit cabal, that Khazarian Jesuit cabal, right? Helped put him in the office. Whether it had been Hillary or Trump, it would have been the same. They're one and the same. The Democratic Party, the Republican Democratic Party is the same. That's why it needs to be. You need to get that and follow that one, the Green Party, right? Still build that so in 2020 that one can be placed on Capitol Hill to look out for the greater interest of all humanity. And at this point, the best thing humanity can do to that dumb old lame duck, okay, that's going to be sworn in on the 20th of January is continue to support the Green Party and make it strong. So 2020 can it can be that party that's in control of American government. So then, with the reparations that are given through that are supported for the African Americans that were used as a held in bondage, right? Then that money can be, as we said, invested into Africa to rebuild Africa's infrastructure and let's go to video 3.